Welcome, everybody. John Zager, johnzager.com. How's everybody doing today? Good? Good. Over here on the eastern slope, we're just escaping from the, I don't know, what do they call that? The Alaskan or the Canadian freight train. Cold weather, sub-zero for a week, 10 days. I don't know what it got down to last night. I thought I saw 15 somewhere in the middle of the night when I got up and took a peek, and it's been cold. And daytime, 0. Now tomorrow I think we're supposed to move out of the sub-zero and go up into the teens for the daytime, and low single digits at night. Leastways looks that way for the next week or so. Gradually getting back up into the 30s, then the 40s, then the high 40s, and hopefully that's the end of winter. I'm not sure, but it's been pretty gruesome the past, pretty much the past 2 weeks. So I just wanted to do a little podcast and talk about your purpose in life. Are you living a purposeful life? I did a blog on it earlier today, and it turned out okay. There's kind of, what I came up with was, there's spirituality says one thing and science says another thing, right? So, are you living a life of purpose and meaning? Now, that's not a negative thing, you guys. I don't want you thinking that I'm I don't know, coming down on you guys or not, but statistics seem to indicate that there's a lot of people out there that are searching for purpose and meaning in their life. It's just science. It's also spirituality. You know, they're saying the same kind of thing. Of course, there's all those wonderful people that are married and have wonderful families, and, you know, their role is mom or dad, raising kids, being husband, being wife, taking care of the house, having a career, supporting the family financially and all the other ways. You know, there's all those people out there. And that's great. But here's the interesting point on that. Not all of those people have their lives together. I went back and did some research on this over the past week when there wasn't a whole lot to do with the cold weather. And I read quite a bit, and it really got right down to the point of you can see these people that you would think automatically have purpose and meaning to their life, and they must be happy, contented, and pretty carefree. I mean, if you're a mom or a dad, you got to be pretty happy about the whole thing, right? I mean, you know, you're raising kids, you're bringing them up correctly. There's a lot of purpose and meaning in your life, but there's a lot of moms and dads out there that don't see it quite that way. They might see it as a struggle and not as a real positive thing. You know, they might get down on themselves for raising their kids and stuff like that. Having a job that's not very satisfying. What's the statistic there on jobs? 80% of people are discontented with their current employment? Or was it 85%? This is really high. There's an awful lot of people who just have careers or jobs, whatever you want to call that, and they're not happy. They have a fair amount of stress going on in their life. They're discontented with the type of job that they do, the amount of money they get, their bosses. Let me give you an example. I was talking to a guy off and on here over the past couple years, and he's been kind of down on his luck, and he's had to take jobs at box stores. You know, all the big box stores. And he can't seem to stay at any of those jobs because, as he talks about it, you know, the managers, the supervisors, the people over a department or something treat you with disrespect. They look down on you. They figure if you're at this job, your life must not be going very well because you're working for sometimes less than minimum wage. And you're in a position to where you almost have to do whatever they tell you to do because your back's against the wall financially. Maybe you do have a family, so you've even got to do more, right? There's a Suburban behind me pulling a kid on a rope on his sled, saucer sled, behind the car down the street. I don't know what you want to think of that, but seems like that might be kind of dangerous for that little guy in the back. But anyway, there are the people that are having to take jobs doing work that might be a little demeaning and abusive as far as the language and the way they boss you around and that kind of thing, based on this guy's conversation. He didn't have a whole lot of positive stuff to talk about. But there are people out there doing that. There's an awful lot within the last, 10 years. There's an awful lot of homeless people these days. In the last 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, it just has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, that population. And they have little to no money at all. And they're struggling to think in terms of purpose and meaning in their life when their main thought is, how am I going to survive tonight? How am I going to make it another night, another week, another month, another winter? Purpose and meaning just don't even enter into the picture, does it? No. You know, there's a lot of people, like where I live here on the eastern slope, winters are and can be kind of hectic and heavy. And there's a lot of people here that, are homeless. The numbers are just bigger and bigger and bigger. You see more and more people out on the corners, panhandling for any kind of change or money they can get their hands on. People are just trying to get through harsh winters, let alone sit down and figure out a purpose and a meaning to their life. I mean, that's so far not even in their thinking. Then you have, the well-meaning people that are out there working, struggling to survive financially because of the cost of housing. Rentals are outrageous. Housing in that home market and buying is just skyrocketed. I would imagine there's going to be a big, I don't know, probably like what happened in '07. Was it '07 or was it '08, to where the home market just collapsed? I mean, it can only go up and up and up so far, and then it has to come crashing down. Right now, you know, the stock market's doing the same thing. It's just everybody and their brothers jumping in with their penny, nickel, dime quarters and trying to buy stuff. And what we're seeing just big, huge jumps in a stock, and likewise where stocks are just falling out of control. You know, are those people trying to figure out the purpose and meaning in their life? I don't think so. I think they're trying to survive. They're trying to plan ahead. They're trying to gamble. And then you got all these people that are moving. You know, look at California. Wow, what have they done to their people? They've abused them. You know, they've taxed them for everything they could possibly tax them for. The wages are terrible, terrible, terrible. Doesn't keep up with the cost of living, housing, food, gas, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think California has always had one of the highest markets for gasoline. People finally said enough's enough. What is it? Silicon Valley is moving out and going down to Texas because of affordability. You know, are they thinking about purpose and meaning to their life? I don't think so. I think they're trying to figure out how to survive themselves and how to get their company to survive. Drinking some iced tea this afternoon in this cold. What's the temperature? I think it says 7 degrees, so it is starting to warm up. Purpose and meaning. Science seems to have calculated and done enough research that they can now say with some certainty that how would you put it? There's not a lot of people floating around now that are working on purpose and meaning in their life. You know, they're just not. They're just trying to survive. And that statistic's compiled by a variety of science people. You know, they've pretty much done enough research to conclude that people are not, you know, working on what's the purpose and meaning in their life. Spirituality is the other side of the coin, right? I mean, those have always been the two that used to be together, and then they split them apart. And now they seem to be coming back together again when they're talking about stuff like this. Spirituality, I was reading about that. What do they think about purpose and meaning in people? You know, are people really working on that issue? Or are they just trying to survive? And spirituality, if you go back and read on the internet, there's pages and pages and pages and volumes of stuff that talk about, you know, it's time to go and get a deeper relationship with your God. whoever that happens to be and however you view that. Greater consciousness or greater intelligence. It's time to start praying more fervently. People have gotten away from that. It's time to start putting some meaning back into your life spiritually. Reading the Bible is one of the ways they talk about. They're right up front about the same thing that science is saying. People really don't have a solid purpose and meaning to their life. Everybody's moving all over the country trying to find something out there that's going to satisfy and make their life whole and complete. Well, if I just move to Austin, Texas, my whole life will be better. If I just move to a cheaper economy in a state or city, my whole life will be better and I can have purpose and meaning. Spirituality is saying it's all internal. In order to have purpose and meaning in your life, you have to look inside. You have to develop a deeper relationship with your God. Maybe you better start reading the Bible. Maybe you better start becoming more spiritual. Figuring out how can you give and be of service or for the greater good. Science is saying the same thing, just in a little different framework. Neuroscience in particular. They're saying don't look outside of yourself. Don't look at the environment. Don't look at things like moving, things like a different house, things like a different car, things like a different job, a different career, things like a different income. They're saying, and they're just crystal clear about it, maybe now's the time that you look inside, you start meditating. Maybe you really need to start meditating. Hypnosis is another thing that works very well. All it is relaxation, you guys. Don't get scared by the word. But it allows you to slow down. It allows you to get your brain waves to slow down long enough so that you can start processing what's important to you. What is it that's important to you? What's your purpose? What's your meaning? Becoming enlightened, going to workshops, going to seminars, reading. There just seems to be a clear consensus that are there people that have purpose and meaning to their life? Of course. Are they happy all the time? No. Probably a lot of the time they are. But the bigger majority of the people, 70% plus, are living in a life of stress. And they're looking for their answers in the outside, the environment, and not inside themselves. And they don't have purpose and they don't have meaning. They don't have self-love. They don't have compassion. They don't have gratitude. They don't have thankfulness. Maybe here and there, every once in a while, that pops into their head. But they have depression. They have anxiety. They have anger. They have discontentment. They don't feel whole. They don't feel complete. They're bitter. Their relationships are not rewarding. So maybe this is a good time for this little conversation to occur between us. Maybe this is a good time for you all to sit down and ponder, meditate, dwell on, process. Do you have a purpose and a meaning to life? And can you be honest enough with yourself when you get way down into your gut and what you're feeling way, way down there? Is it satisfying or not? Can you see the end result? Can you see the service that you're giving to others? Can you see the relationship with your God? Are you able to draw lines and have boundaries where you're not going to allow yourself to be abused? Are you doing things for the greater good? I sometimes in my podcasts present these kinds of scenarios, and I usually ask for people to give me some feedback. I think a week or so back I even mentioned that I forgot what we were talking about, what I might have been talking about, but I said I'd even be willing to do like a little workshop. You know, a one-time thing. We all get together and kind of discuss some of these topics that I bring up. I'm willing to do it again. I sure would like to hear from you guys. You can email me, you can call me, you can text me, you can go to my website, you can go to any of the social media sites that I have. I'm all over that. My YouTube you can go to, comment on anything there. Spreaker.com, where my podcasts come out of. You can go there and comment there to this very podcast. But then if you believe you have so much meaning and purpose in your life, maybe this just doesn't make any sense to you. Maybe it's like, well, why is John talking about that stuff? Isn't that kind of negative? Statistics, science and spirituality say what I'm talking about is accurate. I'm just using their information and I'm passing it along. Maybe we should have a workshop. Maybe it would be an avenue for us to have a dialogue. Nobody's going to be right or wrong, but maybe it's going to be an opportunity to have a dialogue and talk about some uncomfortable things that we maybe would prefer not to. Maybe we can talk about meditation. hypnosis, relaxation, designing a future, having a purpose, having meaning. I don't know. I'm sure open to that kind of stuff. I mean, I know there's a number of people, and I respect those people, that they do read my blogs, and for the most part they listen to my podcasts, and I'm going to do a YouTube when I'm done here in a minute. But, they pay attention to that, and it's me, and I appreciate that. But what would happen if we just all got together and did that in person and started healing both ourselves and one another? Let me know. I'm certainly available. God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.